This is the Montessori Christian Homeschool Year 2 curriculum. This can be used for any child in preschool through, I would say, up to like 2nd grade. It comes with the Montessori Math Workbook, Primary Book 2, the Montessori Pink Series Reading Workbook, the Montessori Blue Series Reading Workbook, and all of the printables that you'll need. And these also will substitute many of the physical Montessori materials so that you don't have to buy everything for your classroom or your homeschool. And so let me show you as we put them into the box. We're gonna start with the flip through of the teacher's guide. Flip through of the teacher's guide for year 2. So the format is the same as year 1. And let's see, we'll go over a new unit with you. So here we have weeks 9 through 12, which is unit 3. And we covered 2 Bible stories. Joseph's brothers come to Egypt, and Joseph forgives his brothers. And so our overall big idea is God is forgiving. So when we learn these 2 stories, we're also going to cover scripture, 2 different memory verses, 3 Bible trays for each story. The language in the pink reading workbooks are scheduled out. Once the blue reading workbook is started, that will be language. The lessons in the Math Workbook 2 are scheduled out. This unit, we will focus on the rectangle box, the blue rectangle box. We're going to be doing art cards, and that's further explained. Then we have science, so this month or this unit is focused on the plant. So looking at a real plant, looking at 3-part cards, looking at a leaf, and doing an experiment with a leaf. So the geography, we're going to be going over what the continent boxes are, and we're studying our first continent, which is North America. So we're going to look at the puzzle map. We're going to label the map, and then we are going to make a booklet. Then for art, there is a art project in global art, which is a separate book that you would need for North America, 4 different projects, and then some literature that go along with the themes for the Bible stories. So then we work on preparing our shelves each week. So here you have a diagram for what your shelves, so you have 2 sets of shelves, or like this could be a shelf, this could be a shelf with like, this is the top of the shelf, this is shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3. So these could be like small bookcases, or I use IKEA shelves. You can look for more pictures in the descriptions of this curriculum of what I use, but feel free to adapt this. This is just an idea. So the new additions each week are highlighted in this gray color. Everything else should already be there from the weeks before. And what you would need to do or gather for week 9. And then we start the next page, and you'll have a grid, a lesson grid with check boxes. So you can adjust this however you want, but we've found that this is the best way to go through each week, even when we do have to shift things around. So the Bible devotional, the Bible work, we always have 1 more, which is either sensorial, art, or geography. Here's the lesson grid for week 9. So you'll see how it's broken up into 5 days. By Bible devotional, first circle, which includes Bible work, so Bible song, telling the Bible story, or presenting a Bible tray. A 1 more, which would be either sensorial, art, or geography. And then a math lesson most days. Here we have language for second circle, and 1 more, which on the days you didn't introduce a one more in first circle, you're gonna do it in second circle, which will either be science or art. And up here in the middle here, we have our work plan or free choice. So this will be what you decide you want your child to be working on, but also the majority would be free choice. So letting your child choose. If you have an older student closer to elementary, first, second grade, you may want to come up with a work plan together so that your child is hitting those benchmarks that you have set out for her or him. Down here on every weekly lesson grid, there's a spot to track your hours that you spend outside, perhaps maybe even outside activities that you do, or just tracking hours would be fine. And then a literature read aloud. And again, this goes with the theme of the Bible lesson for that week. And so the Bible story this week is, and we just said it, so here, let me show you again, is Joseph's brothers come to Egypt. So this Bill and Pete go down the Nile. Children can learn a little bit more about Egypt. One of the Bible learning trays is discovering more about Egypt, so it just fits. And then here are the weekly lessons that need to be more elaborated upon from the weekly planning grid to then what do we do daily. Some things are self-explanatory and it won't tell you, like tell the Bible story. It doesn't have any notes. It doesn't say see notes here because you've already told the Bible story. So you just go back and use the same text to tell it again. And same thing with the Bible song. There are no notes. You just use your CD and do Bible song number 5, which is for Beauty of the Earth, or you can just look it up on YouTube. Now we have the elaborated notes over here. So notes for the Bible study are here, an overview, and this is for you to read. Some notes on how to present the memory verse, what hand motions you could use, and then since the Bible work is to tell the Bible story, here is the Bible story. And then for sensorial this week would be introducing the blue rectangle box, and here is the initial presentation and detailed step-by-step directions within the teacher's manual. So for math, usually you just go to your math workbook, but for the first 9 weeks I have some explanations for you to get used to the curriculum. Language, telling you how to use the reading workbook. And then some presentations for the Bible tray work, presentation for science, and you use the coordinating student sheets for all of this and whatever Montessori materials you need, which again are all listed back in the beginning of each week. So, the big things that you'll need for the year are listed in the beginning under supplies and materials needed for year 2 in the master material list. And whenever there's a printable version included in your printouts on cardstock paper, there will be an asterisk. So like the small Montessori wooden movable alphabet, if you would rather just use a printable, it's included there. See the asterisk? Red and black Montessori wooden movable alphabets. Well, I have a printed version for you within the blue reading workbook. So same thing here, bead squaring chains for 1 through 10. There's a printable version, decimal system cards, printable version, golden bead material. This is all included in the math workbook. So you don't really need any of this unless you would like it. And then, so some things that are not included that I suggest you buy are also on there. And then we have like everything that's covered for the year. So this is going into the box. That's included. And you'll also get a set of tabs that you can stick on that will separate each unit by month. Okay, moving on to the Montessori Math Workbook. This is fully scheduled within the teacher's guide. So there will not be extra math materials in the printouts for this year. They're all in here, and this is included when you purchase the full curriculum. So as you see, everything that you need is included as a printable version in here. But if you do decide that you would like the physical decimal cards, a physical golden bead materials, a physical bead chains, what else do we use in here? There'll be a then you can get them. And there's a list in the teacher's manual for all of the materials that are used. Now, this is unique in that it introduces new concepts and new Montessori materials, but then in the back of this workbook, we have the looping review exercises. So these practice a lot of different skills, calendar, telling time, and then a lot of skills that we've reviewed in math year one. So whether you use year one with the physical materials or whether you used the Montessori Math Workbook number 1, these are all covered in there. So greater than, less than, using the number rods, even, odd, counting, identifying which beads match with which numbers, meaning like when I see this light blue beads, I know that that's 5 without counting 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and your child will too. Let's see. So even if you didn't do it or you used a different curriculum, you will review a lot of those materials. If you think your child's ready for this second math workbook, just go ahead and jump in, and then you can use the looping review to kind of review other Montessori materials and math concepts that you may not have gotten to with your curriculum or school that you used for year 1 or last year. These looping review exercises are scheduled each week. So the math workbook is completely scheduled out. So this is week 9, and you're going to review with looping review number 9. And then the other days that you do math, you're going to do some new concept, introduce some new concepts for math. Is going in the box. Next, I want to show you the Pink Series Reading Workbook. So this can be shelf work, or you can keep it in the workbook, and it is fully scheduled within the teacher's guide. That is the Pink Series Reading Workbook. This is the Blue Series Reading Workbook, which about half of this is scheduled for year 2. This is a copy that I just printed, but the one that you will receive will be bound similarly to the other books in here. But this is just a loose copy, so I can kind of do a flip through for you. So this is completely scheduled within the teacher's manual. Like I said, about half of it is scheduled. We start off with capital letters and going through blends. Similar, very, very similar in style and progression as the Montessori Pink Series Reading Workbook, except in this workbook you will introduce your children to grammar. So articles, nouns, articles, adjectives, and verbs. So we'll have farm activities, the detective adjective game is in here, and all of the typical Blue Series reading activities. So you make your own little booklets that you can keep on the shelf. And a lot of this, if not all of it, can be adapted for shelf work. So We have some missing vowel work. You can use your removable alphabet. Show you some of the back pages. Let's see, where is our verb? Our verb is our unit 9. And whatever is not scheduled in year 3, you can either choose, or sorry, in year 2, it will be scheduled in year 3, along with the green reading workbook that's coming out next. But you may also choose to just continue this at your child's pace, which is fine too, instead of using the scripted lessons in year 2. So, verb work, yep, and more blends, and the movable alphabet is included in the back. We have the student sheet. So this is month 1 of year 2. Here are the sensory Bible devotional cards for weeks 1 and 2. Here is memory verse. Now, this all changes depending on what you're covering in the curriculum, but here, this is just a sample. So here is the presentation cards for the small hexagon box. You can cut those up and keep them on your shelf for on-the-fly presentations. Here is an actual, so this is a 110-pound cardstock. It's a really thick paper, all in color, and you can use the printouts for your small hexagon box. Now, if you have a small hexagon box and you order the printed curriculum, you can use these for extension work. You can use them to create a poster or a booklet, or you can use them to create a duplicate small hexagon box. You can choose, if you buy a digital download, just to not print those pages if you have the physical material. But it really does save a lot of money when you can use a substitute like this. You'll save a lot of money. So that's why they're included there for you. Here is a science shelf work. So it's about the solar system. Here is the control chart. This is the pieces that you would need to cut out and the labels you would need to cut out to go on your working chart. Same thing for the solar system. And then here you'll see they're all of the student printouts are labeled for what you will need them for or when you will need them. So this is week 1, Bible devotional day 4, Thursday. So that's when you'll need that skeleton printout. For this one is same thing. So week 1, Thursday, but this is for your geography. And I have a note here to save the continents for week 2. And there'll be instructions how to use, when and how to use all of these student sheets in the teacher's guide. So this is some story starter, sentence builder, word building cards. There are directions again in the teacher manual. This is for a Bible learning tray printout that you can set out on your shelf. For shelf work, matching sheep, talking about Jacob's time with Laban. Okay, and more science, 3-part cards. I'm just gonna kind of flip through here more quickly. Here is just more of what you will need for, this is gonna be for weeks 3 and 4. So again, you'll see it down here when you need to use it. Shelf work for your Bible trays. Let me show you. Here we have some more science shelf work. So this is your control chart, your working chart, your labels. Here is an alternative to, like, if you don't have the Montessori geography puzzles, there's an alternative for every continent puzzle, every geography puzzle that you need. There's an alternative printout. And again, if you have the puzzles, which I highly recommend you get the puzzles. It's one thing that I do, if you can, that you purchase the puzzles. But if you do have them, you can always use what's given for extension work and other things. So that was month 1. Every month we'll have all the materials that you need. I mean, this is a lot of card stock, but it's all organized, it's all in order. You don't have to sift through and figure out what you need when. It's all here ready to go.